Osiris and Horus to them, Horus being the unborn child of Dodi Fayed that Diana carried and was 3 months old, which is another very important fact, a number that's important to them, to be 3 months old. Sacrificial babies are taken in utero at 3, 5, and 7 months. And when I heard about this was a deal that I understood now had gone down. And she had to die in that tunnel because that tunnel's the passageway for Diana, the goddess. And she died at the 13th pillar again because of Hecate. And she died on the 31st because it's the mirror image of 13. And my understanding of what I get inside of me, and because I was told by Baron Guy de Rothschild last beginning of February when he was in this country and he was there to try and reprogram me again and impregnate me, was that he was in the tunnel that night. He had to be there because not only was it a ritual death of Diana, this was also about taking her soul, and he was taking the soul of Diana, which no one else there could do. Whoever was present there could not do it. He could do it, and he was in France.
This is the hypnotic stare you talk about.
Yes, and drawing in the breath. And he had to be there to do this ritual killing, this ritual murder.
This would mean that the ambulance team and a doctor that arrived within a minute of the crash coming the other way must have been in on this whole deal, or at least the people in charge of the ambulance team. From your experience of the kind of people involved in this Illuminati satanic network, do you think that's possible, that they could set that up?
Yes, I do. I've seen a lot of things set up that if you did not know, if you weren't in on the so-called inner circle, or know what the Illuminati can do, because they depend on people not believing they're really there, you would not, you would have a hard time believing it. This has been such a secretive group and worked in such insidious ways to infiltrate and control. And there are so many unanswered questions they don't seem to be able to answer about Diana that keep coming up in spite of all the reports that come out, because there are people that don't believe what they're hearing.
What would have been the purpose of creating such a clear and definite ritual in the assassination of Diana? What would be the purpose of that when they could have killed her in another way?
Because it had to be done as a ritual, because they were going to take her soul. And it had to happen in the tunnel, it had to happen that way, it had to happen in that year. And this is all, there's all a timeline to all of this.
There's been many rumors that she was pregnant, but as I understand it, one of her friends says that that was not possible because she knew that very shortly before she'd had a menstrual period. Is it possible to be pregnant and for that to still happen?
Yes, it is. This happened to me. I was impregnated with one of my own fertilized egg that was fertilized by the sperm of Pindar. And he sent Guy de Rothschild to impregnate me in this manner, and I was impregnated in October of '94. I had periods up until February when it was discovered, and they seemed normal, not light. And I then was, since I had the background of a nurse, and had worked with a nurse midwife delivering babies, I was, for some reason, it occurred to me to check my stomach, my abdomen, and I realized that I was pregnant, and so I ended up seeing a doctor who told me, he verified, you're pregnant. He did it with blood test, with the urine test, and ultrasound exam, and if I don't do an abortion on you tomorrow, you're going to have to go through a different type of abortion, which probably would have been a saline abortion. And I knew what I was pregnant with by that time, and so I was terrified to go through with it, and I could not go through with it, knowing what I knew, and so I had the abortion, but I had periods the whole time.
You were impregnated at the point that it happened without you having any knowledge of it.
No, I did not.
Is it possible that that happened to Diana, if she was, as the evidence that I've looked at suggests, also mind-controlled and a multiple from the early part of her life?
That is definitely more than a probability. The thing about being multiple or dissociative identity disorder is that the host person doesn't know that they are, but they have missing time, but then they have amnesia for the missing time. They don't realize they're missing time. They don't realize things are happening to them. They show up, pregnant. They show up with marks on their bodies. They don't know, I think I must have bumped myself, and that's not actually how it happened. Or they have needle marks on their body when they've been gotten a hold of and drugged. And it's only when they start to realize something's not right and they try and make a timeline and try and account for their time, they realize there's so much they can't account for that they simply took for granted. Oh, I was out shopping, or I was at this person's house, or I was over there. Then they realize they don't have a timeline for any of these things.
Do you think that Diana's two children were Prince Charles's children?
I do not believe that William is, I've heard that he was Charles's son. I've heard about someone else, and I believe that it was neither. I believe that this child of Prince William is the son of Pindar, and she was impregnated, and she did not realize that.
When you look at the ritual nature of all that, you've got Osiris, it would seem, symbolized by dirty fire. You've got Isis, symbolized by Diana. Presumably the baby, quite obviously, symbolizes Horus in Egyptian legend and ritual. Why create that in a tunnel in Paris at that time? What was it designed to do, to symbolize or whatever?
It's to symbolize, it's part of symbolizing getting the world ready to recognize the Horus that is about to come upon us in the year 2000, as the year 2000 is the age of Horus and Osiris reborn. And there's a sacrifice involved. And the sacrifice is the the mother, and the sacrifice is this child. And yet it involves another child who yet lives by the same mother. And
You're talking about William?
yes, I am talking about William.